This year, the DFO has shut down the chum fishery for retention. Even though we love catching the silvers, we're not able to keep them. But they did open the hatchery Coho and increased the limit to two. We have been very lucky, and often we catch one, usually wild, but occasionally we do catch the hatchery. So with the heavy winds on the beaches, we've moved over to the river here and for catch and release, or if we catch a Coho hatchery. Targeting the chum salmon or the coho, we're using the BNR soft beads, whether it's the round or the burr beads. We reduced our hook size down to a 1 to try to reduce the amount of foul hooking, and that has worked majority of the time. So fighting these monstrous fish they've been well known as a rod breaker, so you do have to be careful. We use a lighter leader, so this way I can rake off easier, 12 pounds, and it's quite the challenge. We use the Amazon Outdoors Coho Strategy X casting rods. Now these rods are an IM7 modulus graphite blank, fast action. Very sensitive on the top, but with a power backbone to handle these monster fish. Whether you're dealing with chums, spring salmon, fast power of the coho, or the sensitivity of the steelhead, these rods are unbelievable. Another method that we use to increase our solid hookups is short floating. So short floating is doing the drift with the float and the weight not dragging along the bottom of the river. So it's slightly above. This way the soft bead is floating down, slightly suspended above the bottom, and most often we get a solid mouth hookup. The bead is set about two finger widths above the hook. And then when they bite the bead, most often the hook will catch them in the corner of the mouth. But sometimes it's at the lip or on the jawline. Every year is different on the sizes of the beads, and this year we didn't have any luck on the small beads, so the size 12 millimeter, 14 millimeter, and 16 millimeter size beads were what they were favoring, and most often it was the 14 and the 16 millimeter. The soft beads will slide farther up the hook when you're fighting the fish, so after landing you have to reset your bead just 2 fingers widths above the hook. We're often surprised, even though the majority of the fish at this time of the year is the chum salmon. We will catch our share of silver coho or some of the later runs of the spring salmons. The springs we don't keep, but they are fun to catch because they're a little more colored. And the coho, we caught more hatcheries this year than we caught wild. So kudos to the hatchery program. And then we caught quite a few silvers, chums coming up on the high tide. I was fishing with Jim, and his first year, and he was just enjoying his Amazon rod and catching his share of chum salmon and coho. Every outing this year we were faced with heavy, strong winds, light rain, but we knew that the weather conditions were going to be changed. And once they announced what they called the atmospheric river, we knew there was huge amount of rains coming, and that would be the end of our season.
Here's Gil fighting with a chum. They pull so hard. Let's see what its color looks like. I think he's going to get it up here pretty quick. There it is. Let's expand that. There it is. They just fight.